So a couple of days ago, I started using Notion again after like a very long time without using it because I'm doing some freelance work and I needed like a tool for my workflow. But of course, I'm using the free version because I don't like right now I can't afford the paid version. So I've been finding a lot of very useful workarounds for replacing automations and other stuff that comes with like the paid version of Notion. But there was this one thing that I just like couldn't figure out. I couldn't find anything that would work for me, which basically is that when I create a new project, depending on the type of project I want to create, I'd like to have some default tasks already in there. The paid version of Notion has a solution for this that is automations, but I wanted to find something similar for the free version. I found some videos where you could like create a template with a list of tasks and then you just copy the list into the tasks or into the task database. But to me, that wasn't good enough because I don't want to be copying and pasting tasks every time I create a new project. And also because for some bigger projects, I have something called phases, which is like it contains a group of tasks and lets me know where I am in the progress of the life of the project. So I wanted to find another solution. And I've been working on a time tracker for Notion and I found this guy who made a super useful video. I will leave the link here. And he was explaining how to use buttons to record a start time and an end time and relate that to the task database. But what was interesting from there is that I saw the capabilities. Sorry, my cat is crying because he wants me to open the door. There I found out about the great capabilities of buttons and I came up with this idea of having like a set of default tasks per project using buttons. Let me first show you what I have right now as my Notion setup so you can see it, and then I'll walk you through how to create something similar. It's very, very simple. So in my case, this is my dashboard and I have like these quick action buttons. So let's say I have a new project. This is just the project template. It's called because that's my brand basically. And I have 3 types of projects inside this project template. I have web projects, branding projects, and presentations, right? Because these are the 3 that I do the most. So let's say I have a new web project. So I'm going to call it new web project. And I'm going to click on web to select it as a web project. As you can see, we've created some new projects here. And if we go to the tasks, you'll see that I have a lot of new tasks. And I also have these website phases because for web projects, because they're long, I like to separate them in phases. And basically, if we go to tasks, you will see that they are all created and related to the corresponding project, each to the corresponding web phase, okay? But for example, if I had an Upwork project coming in for branding, so I'll call it Upwork branding, I could create here a branding project. And then as you could see, I have 7 pages created that I can see from here that are all my tasks for a common Upwork project. And of course, I could edit these for specific things in specific projects, but I don't have to deal with creating tasks from the beginning. So that's great for me. Now that you see what you can achieve here, let me walk you through how to do this. The most important thing here is that you have your databases correctly set up and then you have a relation between tasks and projects, right? So every task corresponds to a specific project. This is literally everything you need to be able to do this. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your projects database and you're going to add a new template. In my case, as you've seen, I divide projects depending on where the client is coming from. If it comes from the agency, my task will be a little bit different. And if it comes from Upwork or Fiverr or something like that, I have a different set of tasks. But for the sake of generality, like because I think this is what most people will find more useful, let's say we will create a project template for all branding projects, right? We'll call it branding. And now what we're going to do is we're going to edit the description of the project templates. So here you would put something like the scope or the main goals, the project deadline, like general project information that you want to have inside the project. And to be able to have the automated tasks created here, all we're going to do is we're going to add a button. as simple as this. So you could call this like create tasks or anything like that. I will call it start project. Super simple. You could give it like a play icon so that it's like start your project. And from here, all you're going to do is you're just going to add actions that this button is going to do. For example, the first thing I do is I will edit this same page, so the project that we just created, and I will change its type to branding. In this case, type is just a tag, but it gives me like a very quick view of what type of projects I'm working on. Another thing you could do, for example, is change the status of the same project, right? So you select this page status to in progress, right? Because you started working in this project when you create all the tasks. So far, we're just editing this project. But now comes the interesting part. What you can do here is you can start creating the list of tasks that you want this kind of project to have by default. What we're going to do is we're going to add a page and we're going to select the tasks database because what we're aiming here is to create a task. So this will be the first task that gets created when you create this project. Generally, my first task is like field project information, just to make sure that I have my scope and everything I need there and all the resources, links, whatever I will need for the project in my project page. And now comes the very important part. So as I said before, you should already have like a relationship between your projects database and your tasks database. We're going to edit the project property of this task that we just created, and we're going to select this page as its project. In this way, this specific task will be linked to this exact project that we are creating. And that's basically it. Now you can do wherever you want. So for example, for branding, the second task could be, creating a mood board. So I will type create mood board. And it's always very important to remember to set the project to this project, right? And that's all. Like you can continue on creating pages to the tasks database or creating tasks, calling them whatever you want. This would be the list of default tasks and assigning them to this project. Create logos. Let's just do like a very simple one as an example. Don't forget to link it to the project. Once you're there, you just click done. And you have this button on every project you create with this template. Let's try it now, right? I'll create a new project and I'll make sure to select branding, which is the template that we just defined, right? So we're going to click on branding. Let me open this up so you can see it better. And everything that we just did in the template will come here, including this button. Once I click it, you will see that it says created 3 pages and edited 2 pages. If I go to the tasks, I already have the 3 tasks that I created. The idea here is that you can create a template for each type of project you have. In my case, because I'm a designer, I have like branding and web design and presentations and stuff like that, but you could have different project types in whatever field you are. And you can have with just one button a set of default tasks that will be created for you. And you could do that as big or as small as you want. Also, this is great because if you figure out, like you try it out and you figure out that for your next project, the tasks that you created weren't like the best, all you need to do is go back to the template and edit it. Let's edit the template we just created, and you can edit the actions of the button. So next time it will create the tasks that you want. You could even like play around with the order of the actions and just, play with it until it creates exactly what you need for each type of project. If I want a web design project, it will be exactly the same. I'll just create a new button and start adding actions to it. So as you can imagine, like there's a lot of possibilities here. I think buttons are super, super powerful and might replace the need for automations in a lot of uses. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you come up with other ideas for using buttons. And also if you want to see how I divide my website projects into website phases and how I create those automatically in the same way, just let me know and I'll walk you through it as well. I hope this has been helpful. I went crazy looking all over YouTube for a video that explained how to have this default list of tasks without using automations. And I'm sure like this is a known idea, but I'm just trying to make it easier for everyone to find it, basically. But that's all for me. If you have any other free Notion workaround questions, just let me know. And if you have any other questions on how to, create your workflows in Notion or whatever other tool, just let me know. I really love workflow tools. I'm super into them and I love figuring out how to do stuff with them. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.